Okay, everybody. I'm not going to do the whole music intro, big thing. I'm just going to say, welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming to listen to my opinions and thoughts. The Chad Daybell trial it has been incredibly interesting, in my opinion. It is also a little surreal. It's kind of an odd experience, at least for me. I found myself in a strange place because on the one hand, you're obviously pulling, the Chad Daybell answer for the manipulation and the crimes that he apparently, allegedly was involved in. But then I find myself, how do I want to say this? I got to be careful because I might make some people mad. I really feel like there are more people that need to be held responsible. I know that's a weird thought. I get that. But I don't believe in coincidences. Not now, not after doing this whole true crime community thing for 5 years or more. It is very hard to believe that this extraordinary set of circumstances where you've got 2 dead children, 2 spouses are dead, you've got people divorcing and marrying other spouses haphazardly, not even knowing them. You got all this bizarre, strange, crazy behavior among a wide group of people. And at the same time that all that is going on, Melanie Gibb and David Warwick are asking us to believe that it was just 100% just pure and total coincidence that the one trip that they make to go visit Lori Vallow happens to be the weekend that, let's face it, JJ was sacrificed. Let's call it what it is. The burial of his body, the placement of items, that was not an act of passion. There was something about his burial. Also, there is something about what they did to Tylee. And there are reasons in the LDS faith, old teachings, there are reasons that a woman might be burned. This was, I believe, a folly you do. This was a shared delusion, shared psychosis with the religious overtones, and whatever they were doing, and we do get a glimpse of that, of motive. We get a glimpse of that in the telephone call where Melanie Gibb records her talking to Chad and Lori Vallow. These conspiracy theories make me sick. That phone call. They tell us, in essence, that Chad is the second coming. He's the great God. He is to be upheld and protected and worshiped, and sacrificing people that get in their way is perfectly rational and reasonable. It's psychotic. But they did it and they lived it. And what is even more chilling is that they involved others that bought into it. You got a lady that moved across the country, left her family to move across the country to be in Rexburg, Virginia with this group of knuckleheads, right? So it's strange that this whole group, I'll never leave behind Jason Mao. Jason Mao, what? Here's a question for Jason Mao. Why hasn't he sued anybody? You have all of these people that have come out and said, there's something really fishy about old Jason Mao and all of these deaths. Something fishy about his involvement. But he doesn't do anything to answer for that. Why? So the fact that David Warwick and Melanie Gibb are there in the hours where JJ is sacrificed, I think it was a religious observance. I think he was the sacrificial lamb. David Warwick on the stand was very uncomfortable. He didn't want to talk about it. He was asked some questions by John Pryor that he couldn't answer. And when he did finally devise a response, it was one that fell short. And the whole, I mean, it was like everyone in the courtroom was holding their breath. It was this dawning realization that both Melanie Gibb and David Warwick were there, and their stories don't add up for the day of the murder. The story doesn't add up. Chad's got them supposedly running around looking at terrestrial buildings of the afterlife or some crap. Can't you see it? Can't you see the glass tabernacle? Well, now David Warwick is saying that he's saying, no, Chad, I don't see it. No. Oh, but I see it. Can't you see the angels singing? No, Chad, we don't see that. That's his story now. But this whole story that they have about seeing visions and premonitions versus dreams and nightmares. And I don't know, call me crazy. The last time that I had a nightmare, I didn't call my pastor on the phone and say, I need a blessing. I didn't go wake my friend up and say, oh, honey, would you hold my hand and pray with me because I just had a nightmare and I feel uncomfortable. Is that what you do when you have a nightmare? When I have a nightmare, I get up, walk around, get me a glass of water, maybe read a little bit, kind of settle things down, go back to sleep. I don't begin involving my religious leader. I don't wake up family members and friends. Story doesn't make sense. And the reason it doesn't make sense, in my opinion, I think it's bull. I don't think that's real. I think what is real is that David Warwick was freaked out. I think David Warwick was terrified because there was a little boy that was dead. I think he was terrified. And I think he was saying, oh my God, what have we done? Melanie, it's one thing to divorce our spouses, people who have done nothing wrong. Let's get married, even though we don't know one another, all because we want to be the special one of the 144,000 bunk hogwash. Melanie, that's one thing. But what are we a part of? What's happened? What did we do to JJ? That's what I think. I think they were in on the whole dark light. I think David Warwick knew well what it meant to be dark, and that when they would do these castings and they would do these prayers, and that when they would turn up the pain factor, that all of that was designed to run the evil spirit from the body. And if you were successful, the body died. These are adults. These are supposedly religious people that are engaging in prayer that will result in the death of another human being. And in this case, a little boy. Now that, knowing that you were a part of praying for the death of the body of a little kid, now that might make you want to call your preacher. That might make you want to reach out to Lori, bang on the door in the middle of the night and say, no, 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 no. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know why I did it. I don't want any part of this. I am going to the cops. We are not doing anything. That evil spirit can continue to live in the body of JJ for all I care, but don't you dare hurt that kid. That's what I think was going on. I think David Warwick had enough of reason and reality and rational thought left in his mind that as they laid down in bed that night and got to really thinking about what it meant to be dark and light, what the teachings were about casting out spirits and what happened to the human terrestrial body, I think the light bulb went off in his head in the middle of the night. And he said, holy God, what have I done? And he tried to put a stop to it. That's what I think. And then, of course, in the morning, he said, where's JJ? I want to see JJ. Why? Because his conscience got him. Maybe I'm wrong. I tried to stop it last night. No one would answer the phone. No one would answer the door. I want to see him. Where is he? That's what happened. The answers on the stand of Melanie Gibb and David Warwick concerning that weekend are insufficient. Some of the responses they gave were even just silly, lacked any kind of depth, or wise, intelligent response. It was get them on the stand, establish a timeline, get them off the stand. The question that I would have for the police and the cops right now is why not? Why not go after the bigger group? Why not go after those that were there when JJ died? Why not go after them? Isn't that what the law is for? Don't you collect the evidence, prove that David and Melanie were there? You've got the date. You know when they were there burying JJ. Why not prove they were there? Why not prove that and then let a jury make a decision? I don't understand the hands-off approach, the fear. Why aren't we getting Melanie Pulaski? Her husband was assaulted with a gun. Why isn't she on trial? Why hasn't she been arrested? You see my points? There are lesser charges. Like you don't have to charge them with murder. But if you let this inner group, if you let this inner group of manipulators who are preying on people's weaknesses, if you allow them to remain intact, they're just going to do this to another group of people. They're just going to do it again. And maybe like Warren Jeffs, maybe they do it in a way that, doesn't draw any attention the next go around. Maybe that's what really went wrong with Lori and Chad, is that they were so narcissistic that it got big because they liked their power. They wanted some attention. Lori was entitled to her $1 million, right? But if you're smarter, if you choose people to manipulate that are meek, that are not looking for the greater power, control, and wealth, maybe you get away with it a lot longer. And what are you getting out of it? Why, money. You're making a lot of money. These people were all insured in the ways that most normal people are not insured. Farmers who were making enough to, just buy groceries for the year, They don't typically walk around with $500,000, $700,000 of life insurance. That's not typical because it's expensive to carry that level of life insurance in most cases. So somebody is benefiting financially from these lessons. All of this prepping that's going on, the white tent stuff, the food, these prepper books that are really just tools of manipulation to cause people to spend their money on your product. It's really all it is. It's marketing. Oh, the end of the world is coming by food. Come on, people. The end of the world comes if asteroids are falling out of the sky. Are you really going to be worried about what you're eating? It's a scam. It's a marketing tool. So I don't understand these legal decisions that are made. And it's not my role. I'm not a law enforcement person. I mean, I've done evaluations for court and things like that, but I'm not a police officer or anything like that, detective. I don't even call myself a sleuth. But there must be a reason for these types of choices. They took the DNA of Melanie Gibb and they took the DNA of Jason Mao. And we would assume that they also got the DNA of David Warwick because he, in fact, was there. And my question is, you know something or you wouldn't have gotten the DNA samples, right? You know something or you wouldn't have gotten them. So I don't quite understand why they wouldn't go after these two. To me, it is such a trap. You watch Melanie Gibb in her interviews with the police, she's just manipulating. She uses a lot of distraction. It's that kind of thing, you can't wow them with your knowledge and brilliance, baffle them with your bullshit, right? She's masterful at that. She does a lot of jabbering and wah, wah, wah that really just doesn't mean anything. And how do you overlook? Again, I'm serious about this. I think this matters a lot. How in the world do you overlook that she lied to the cops for weeks? For weeks. The whole world is looking for these two kids. They didn't give a damn about Chad and Lori. They didn't care where they were. It was the two kids that everybody was so concerned about. And she lied. First, she stays away from the cops. Then when she does go to them, she tells a bald-faced lie. And then she didn't really come clean. She didn't really go to the cops with her truth until David Warwick, in my opinion, David Warwick instructed her, here's what we're going to do. Here's the scripture that you're going to lay on, Lori. I want you to give them this scripture. And then we're going to record all the answers. And we got to make damn sure that it sounds like me and you, David Warwick and Melanie Gibb, didn't know nothing about one dead little boy. And everybody hears that. Like, oh my gosh, thank God they told the truth. That's so great that they got the recording. No one seems freaked out to figure out, to have a realization, the epiphany. Holy shit. Melanie Gibb and David Warwick were there the night JJ died. They were there. Oh, yeah. And it's just a little detail, a little afterthought. There was a nightmare. And when David, a strong, competent general contractor, lots of money, he panics in the middle of the night. Oh, my prophet Chad, please help me, my God. My God, I'm so upset from my nightmare. Please, Daddy Chad, tell me a blessing because I just can't get by without your blessing. Stop. Stop. That's not real. Didn't happen. He's a general contractor. General contractors are used to dealing with problems. They're the fixer. What in God's name would make a man like David Warwick, who does the kind of work that David Warwick does, what in the world would make him have a nightmare so severe that he would try to wake up Lori Vallow and Chad for a blessing? What? Or is it more likely that he and Melanie were part of the little prayer that they had to do, the casting off of the evil entity that was residing in JJ's little body? And in reflection, as he lays in bed and he remembers what it looked like as Alex carried JJ away after the prayer, after the ceremony, he lays in bed and he has this dawning realization, holy shit, I don't think JJ's going to be alive in the morning. And that is why Melanie is beating on the bedroom door of that Lori and she is not answering. And they're making phone calls to Chad. He is not answering. And when David Warwick wakes up in the morning, he demands to see JJ. That's why. He wanted proof of life after their little ceremony they did the night before. And it was a done deal. And maybe the whole going out and looking at the glass temple, the BS, you know, maybe that really was paying homage to the burial. Maybe that's what it was. But what I don't understand is I'm a nobody. Why aren't these law enforcement, why aren't they curious about this coincidence? Why isn't it terrifying to look at this group of Jason Mao and David Warwick and the rest of, why doesn't it scare the cops? Because it's connected, isn't it? Because secret combinations. So the law enforcement of Rexburg, which is predominantly LDS, if law enforcement, if the judges and the attorneys, predominantly LDS, if they are not willing to hold the greater group to account, isn't this just going to happen again? How many right now today, how many LDS husbands or wives are sitting in jail or prison having killed or murdered their spouse? How many? Not very many Methodists that I know of, but I got a whole list, a file in my computer, Mormon murders. It's a list just growing week by week. Oh, there goes another Mormon, like that little ant with the rubber tree. Oops, there goes another. So I don't know. I feel deeply concerned. I thought the testimony that David Warwick provided was weak and made him look bad. And I thought Melanie Gibb was snarky. She sounds heavily medicated to me. And for the life of me, I don't know why they're letting them walk. I do not know. I do not know why they're letting them walk. I really don't. But they are. So I think Chad killed JJ when he disciplined him. The burial was symbolic, and it looks it looks I think it was ceremonial. I think it was sacrifice is what I think it was. So glad you're discussing this. Did anyone find David's extremely long pause yesterday when asked if he saw JJ Sunday so disturbing? So disturbing. And it, to me, and maybe this was just my own inward experience being projected onto the people in the courtroom. To me, it felt like everyone in the courtroom was holding their breath during that long protracted pause. Everyone, including Judge Boyce. Come on, Judge Boyce. Tell the truth. What did Judge Boyce think of David Warwick and that long pause? Yeah? Nope, I'm with you 100%. So the question, Team Doocy Do, the question is this protection of the church? And I agree, or I'm asking the same question that you're asking. There were texts, some 300 plus, between one of the prosecutors and Melanie Gibb. And in those texts, they're talking about protecting the Mormon church as they prosecute Chad Daybell. Is that crazy? Excuse my language, but is that nuts? You're a prosecutor and you are speaking to who a lot of people think as the star witness. I don't think she's a star witness, but there are people that have said that. You're the prosecutor and you're having written communication with one of your main witnesses, and the topic of conversation is to protect the LDS church. What? It's really something. Hi, Carlos. How are you doing? Maybe they were told where the bodies were. Never know. In exchange, immunity. Well, I think that is a very good point, Justice Jane, because they did in fact go right out there onto that land, didn't they? Now they claim, in terms of how they knew where the bodies were, they claimed that they knew where the bodies were because they got the satellite information and they were able to place both Alex Cox and Chad Daybell in that same exact spot. So there were two places. One was right by the pet cemetery, the fire pit, and the other one was over by the tree. And so that's how they knew where to dig. So that's what they said, Justice Jane, is how they knew. So, so here we are. Thank you, Bling is the new black, for the, I think Chad killed JJ when he disciplined him. And they have brought up multiple times that when Chad came back downstairs, there was a big scratch across his neck, right? So perhaps at tu Brude, Idaho is a theocracy. Protecting the church is of the foremost importance. Totally agreed. And Rexburg is like 98% or 92% LDS. One of the only towns or communities with that level of saturation of one religion. So it's an interesting geographical problem. Gibb and Warwick's relationship is dodgy. Don't tell me, David Warwick, don't you dare say that you were not involved in this group. You were. And that is the whole reason that you and Gibb got married. You got a divorce. You left the mother of your kids. She got a divorce from her husband, the father of her kids. And you two got married and didn't even barely know each other. And it was because that was how you were going to be part of the 144,000. You both were supposedly blessed, and you had to be matched together as special blessed people if you wanted to be a part of the group and play house together. And that should have been your first clue that you were engaging in secret combinations. Evil, blasphemous among the earth. Okay, I'm going to stop all that foolishness. Lori thought she could manipulate Melanie into saying anything she asked her to say. I think they had guests to provide an alibi for she and Chad. Possibly. It's still, I still, if I were law enforcement, I would be holding their feet to the fire. I would. The one who lied bald face to the cops, the one who knew where Lori and Chad were when they were in Hawaii, the one who spent the most time, the one who was taking these weird suspect flights all over the place. You're going to call her your prime witness? Shit, I think she ought to be conspirator number one. It's crazy. So. And remember, as long as Melanie Gibb and David Warwick are married, they can't testify against one another. And Melanie Gibb and Melanie Pulowski, the betrayal against Charles is breathtaking. They even betrayed Tylee, though, right? Tylee thought she was being included in this group of crazy women. And in the end, she was burned at the stake like a witch, you know? It's terrible what they did. It's awful. Yeah. Felony Melanie Fibb and Mr. Warwick are both guilty and can't be totally innocent hanging with Chad and Lori. No, they were openly sharing these teachings with each other. They were giving each other jobs to do, right? This was a very active group. You know how you and I would plan our big family cruise? They were actively planning the end of the world, and they started by killing off their own children and spouses, making sure first to have life insurance policies on them. They had to learn that from somewhere. So agreed. Yeah, I think it was sketchy and it was disheartening. And watching David Warwick testify made me very, very sad. I felt very sad when it was all said and done that Tammy Daybell and Charles Vallow were completely surrounded by what I think were evil people. They had no idea that the very people in Colby Ryan, another one, had no idea the people that he loved, his family. He had no idea the level of evil that was operating in his own family. He had no idea. He had no idea. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. So, all right. So that is my opinion of Felony Melanie and David Warwick. And I've really kind of gotten all caught up, kind of doing editing with my whole videos and stuff. So I've got one with Melanie. I'm fixing to start doing the one with David Warwick. It's just I get all wrapped up in it. It takes me days, to put the content out. So the content will be out. It'll probably be the weekend before I'm really done. But I did want to go ahead and put my opinion out there. And I think there needs to be pressure on Rexburg police and the prosecutors that this group of people in the inner circle should be held accountable. Julie Rowe should be charged with something, even if it is interference with an investigation. She should be charged. She is running around telling people that Tammy Daybell is going to die before she died. Does that strike anyone else as particularly ominous, or is it just me? I don't know why these people haven't gone after the rest of this group of people that are hurting and killing people. It's not just going to stop with 2 little kids and 2 ex-spouses. It's not going to stop there if they don't get these people. Look at what Warren Jeff was able to pull off. How many years did he destroy people? He was given free reign, even though he was living in a way that was absolutely abhorrent to the greatest percentage of the population, including LDS. They looked the other way. Why? Because they didn't want to draw attention to the Mormon faith. Mormons are not sitting around living lives with plural wives. They've got to put this extreme element that twists off into these weird culty, subjugating child pedophilia, outcroppings. They've got to get a hold of it. It's not religious persecution. It's insanity. It's criminal conspiracy. It's power mongering by the criminally insane. And the fact that this intergroup is making a great deal of money, they're capitalizing on their followings, these people that are desperate for meaning. And so they put every dime and penny they have into prepper food and other nonsense. I got prepper food. Don't think that I'm picking on someone or I'm taking a lofty position above all others. Far from it. I live on the Texas Gulf Coast. We get hurricanes. There's tornadoes. We have periods of time where we may not have electricity for a week or two on end. I prep for that. I make sure there's plenty of food, fresh water, batteries, medications, all the norm. But I'm not spending 65-70% of my income on food that has to be warehoused, that I'm just going to give to the church that's already sitting on top of billions of dollars. Why do you need my food? See my point? It's crazy. The whole thing is nuts. It's out of control. It's gone off the rails. Yeah. Martin says, well, maybe the group is too big and powerful. Maybe the text that were between Rob Wood and Melanie Gibb saying, oh, we don't want to make our church look bad. We don't want the Mormon faith to be sullied by the trial of Chad Daybell. Maybe that's our first clue that there's something terribly wrong in this whole picture. Just how close is this group? Julie Rowe, Chad Daybell, Jason Mao, David Warwick. Just how close are they to the mainstream LDS church? Just asking. Because if I were going to prosecute Warren Jeffs, the words, well, we don't want to hurt the Mormon faith, would never come across my lips. It's not even remotely connected. There was a bunch of crazy people. They were pedophiles and rapists and thieves. I don't know how close they are, but it is a question, isn't it? And when they're all being attracted, to the same area, Rexburg or to Arizona, you got to ask why. What's going on there? That's in Hawaii. We can't forget Hawaii. Interestingly enough, Lori Vallow, she and Chad were staying literally just a few miles away from that Colorado lady, Love Always Wins, or whatever she was, the one that had the painted on eyeballs and had glitter painted on her, and she was like, they hung like Christmas tree lights on her. You know what I'm talking about? Martin probably knows. I didn't. Look, I'm not gonna, this deal with Colby is okay. Colby is fine. And there's absolutely nothing on the planet that would make me jump on the hate wagon for Colby Ryan. Colby Ryan is surviving the unsurvivable. Colby Ryan has had his entire foundation knocked out from underneath him completely. And he is trying desperately to reestablish some semblance of normality, something he can count on. And I think anybody that goes after Colby Ryan right now, after what he's experienced, you better do some soul searching. Nope, he's not the one. You don't, nope, you don't go after him. Nope, 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 nope. But for the grace of God, go I. And you have no idea what you would be reduced to if your mother had done the same to you in your life that had been done to Colby in his life. She was a nut, and she drug her kids through courtrooms, had them lying in courtrooms to judges and police. She is evil epitomized, in my opinion. So Lemma is due to appear this hearing. Yeah, it'll be interesting to listen to the lady who conjures up ye old earthquakes. I find the tent cities that they are planning to be comical. When Armageddon comes, satellite technology, there will be no safe place for anyone. They'll be taken out by missiles. Illuminating ink. It's so not, you always bring such joy and sunshine. I'm kidding, I'm playing. Love has won. Thank you, Martin. I knew you would know who that was. Yeah. I hope, Bling, that they're doing it like the Adelsons. I hope they're starting with the worst first, right? The trigger men, and that they'll then work their way down the list. I hope, because I don't know how you relieve Melanie Gibb, David Warwick, Jason Mao, Julie Rowe. I don't know how you relieve them of responsibility when you really look at the list of facts as it played out. Nope. Maybe you can't get them for murder, actual murder, but there are other things. Like I said, Julie Rowe and Melanie Gibb both interfering in investigation. Boom. Easy one. Easily won. So, all right. I gotta go. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And I am gonna go through David Warwick's testimony, and I'm gonna do a reaction video to David Warwick. So please be on the lookout for that. And I hope the sun is shining on you wherever you are. And I'll be back. See you later. Y'all have a good afternoon. Bye.